Hi, I'm Jody Miller, your host of Polyphonic Voices with the Atlanta Early Music Alliance, and I'm here with Gregory Hamilton, who is playing this weekend with the Atlanta Baroque Orchestra. Gregory is a recent transplant to Georgia. He lives in the Macon area, and he is a theorbo player, lute player, and also a keyboard player. And it is our distinct honor to get to meet Gregory, who has a lot of talents I think we're about to discover. So, welcome.
Thank you. Very pleased to have this opportunity.
Well, good to see you here because this is my first time meeting you. So first of all, what brought you to Georgia of all places?
Well, I was teaching at the University of Dallas, in Dallas, of course, and COVID happened, and I was teaching at the University Seminary, which is the school, which trains people for ministry. And as I used to say, what do you do there? Well, I try to get the priests to sing. That was my...
Okay, so when if I'm in an Episcopal church and the priest is singing for communion,
you might,
this is the type of thing you
exactly.
would do? Okay.
But also I would instruct the seminarians on music fundamentals, some music history, and I taught Gregorian chant as well, and directed a schola, that sang chant and other things. But then COVID happened, and the seminary was not well placed for that, and my position was eliminated.
Oh.
So there you have it. So it was a very difficult time 2 years ago. There just wasn't any there were really not any music positions in the Dallas area. So I started to look further afield, and St. Joseph Parish in Macon was looking for a music director. And St. Joseph's is a 125-year-old parish that is, the building is on the National Historic Register, and it looked like a great position.
Okay.
And there's a lot of great things about this area, Atlanta, Macon. Mercer University is in Macon, and the church has had a long-standing relationship with many of the singers and musicians of the Townsend School of Music there.
Okay.
At Mercer. So, that it would seem like a very good opportunity for me. And indeed, I think, at least so far, these 5 months, it's worked out very well. And we're trying to get everything going and trying to recover from COVID, of course,
okay.
Which has been very difficult on the arts, on arts organizations, but particularly on churches and choirs in churches. Our choir had not met for a year before I got there.
Is your choir singing in services at this point?
Yes, we've been back, all of our choirs. That's how I ended up here.
Okay.
We have, it's a very large community, and we do have quite a lot of music going on. We have a whole concert series that we discussed. We have several choirs. We have a schola that sings for, we're one of the Catholic parishes that has we also have the traditional form of the Old Latin Mass, the Tridentine Rite. So we do Gregorian chant, and we have a schola that sings for that, as well as our choir that sings for every Sunday.
Okay.
For 11 o'clock.
So the schola, did you form that, or was that already in existence when you came to the parish?
My predecessor, Nelda Chapman, who was there for 28 years.
Okay.
She was responsible for everything that I inherited.
Okay.
And she has just done an incredible job. But she's getting a little on in years, and I tell her that. But
aren't we all?
Yeah. So it was time for her to retire, and But she has been, the transition has been very easy, mainly due to her kindness and assistance and advice. So that's how I ended up here. And I really love Macon. I'm into history and architecture, and Macon is an antebellum city.
Okay, yeah.
All the center of the city is all from pre-Civil War. Okay. And I bought a house built in 1880, and that's the kind of thing I love. So
you have nice big rooms in your home to play harpsichord.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have a music studio.
I'm envious.
Yes. So there you have it.
And what about the organ in the church? Is it the organ you like?
Yes. We are going to have some work done at some point. But it's an amalgamation of, organ geeks will know what I'm talking about. Built by Pilcher in 1901, then Moeller, something like 1940, and then the Schlicker Company came in 1985 and basically rebuilt it. It's, I think it's 58 ranks, quite a large.
No, it's a large organ.
3 manuals. It's a big church, and it has an incredible acoustic, about 5 seconds.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So it really is quite a treasure.
Well, let's go back quite a few years, since we're all getting up in age here. So you are quite a diverse musician, and I think most early musicians I know almost have multiple personalities.
Yeah, very true. Yes.
I mean, I myself, even though I'm a recorder player, I have degrees in French horn and flute, and I like doing this thing in music, and I like doing that,
yes,
and we tend to be jacks of all trades. But you seem to be a master of a lot of them.
Oh.
So first of all, what was your beginning in music? What got you started?
Well, it's a little bit of a mystery because I didn't really come from a musical household. My mother was an artist, however, and I'm sure that I inherit her creative genes from her. But I do remember that every Saturday we always listened to the Met Opera on the radio.
Okay.
So she wouldn't miss that, and I pretty much know all the famous operas.
Okay.
So, and she also was a great fan of, we grew up in Detroit, and now I'm trying to remember his name, Adventures in Good Music with Carl Haas. Carl Haas.
Yeah.
She always listened to that. And as a matter of fact, she was such a fan of him that she did a rather good pencil sketch of him and sent it to him, and got a very nice letter in reply.
Oh, how sweet.
So, today this is Carl Haas. We're going to listen to Johann Sebastian Bach today. And, I just remember that Carl Haas thing. So I was exposed to a lot of music. And she also had... this really dates me, but it hadn't been too many years that we transitioned from the 78s to the 33 vinyl records. And she had a number of really good 33, the stereophonic. Mm-hmm. 2 of them that I remember I played pretty much until they wore out. One of them was Maurice Abravanel and the Utah Symphony. Why she bought that, I don't know. But on one side was the Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue, and the other one was the Emperor Concerto.
Okay.
So I listened to those. I mean, I think I could probably play most of the Emperor Concerto just if I from it
just from having heard it so many times.
But it's funny because that I grew up listening to that recording of Rhapsody in Blue. And then many years later, I heard Leonard Bernstein play it, and I said, "That's all wrong," because I thought that was the one way that you had to play it. That record. Since it was on a record, that must mean that's the way to play it. So, but to move on a little, my musical upbringing was completely undistinguished. We had a piano, and I started to play a little bit, but I never took lessons. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I was asked. But I did take up the guitar, and that was mainly so we could form a garage band and get some groupies. That was, some.
Okay.
Some
I find it hard to picture you in this scenario.
Well, we had a pretty good band for a while, but I was getting interested in learning the guitar more. And then one day, this must have been when I was, I would say in junior high, I heard Andres Segovia play Bach on the guitar. And it just struck me like I'd never heard anything like that before. It just bowled me over. Mm. And so that's what I wanted to do. I started to study classical guitar, seriously. And then I eventually that was how I got into undergraduate. Oh. That was my first instrument. So when I was undergraduate, then I got interested in early music through the guitar and started to explore the lute. The college got in.
Where was this?
In Cleveland, at Baldwin Wallace University.
Okay.
Which is, there are, there's Oberlin, and then there's, on the east side of Cleveland, there's the Cleveland Institute of Music. Mm-hmm. And then the west side conservatory is Baldwin Wallace. Mm-hmm. Very good undergraduate conservatory. So that was sort of the springboard into, exploring early music and early instruments. And so when I got interested in the lute, I decided that I really that was the direction I wanted to go. And I knew that all the really good lute teachers were in Europe.
Yeah.
So at that time, I went over there and I studied at the Royal College of Music for 5 years with Nigel North and Jakob Lindberg.
Okay.
And Nigel has been one of the major teachers for me. A brilliant man, very, very great teacher. And he's now in Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
He's he's been teaching there for quite a long time, I think now. But he really, I think, influenced my view of how to approach much early music. And also, he's a great continual teacher. I mean, there's just, he's the guy. Okay. So that's where I started to explore that. And interesting, the keyboard and organ, my interest in that came later. But what I learned as a continuo player on the lute was, immediately applicable to playing a keyboard instrument. I already knew, how to realize a continuo part, and when I got some of the finger technique of playing a keyboard,
So you really had no significant keyboard training until this point?
No, I had a minor in piano.
Oh, you had a minor in piano, okay.
So I basically, I had basic keyboard skills.
Okay.
But I didn't really, after, there was, trying to get my dates right here. But after I came back from England, I decided that it might be smart to try and learn the organ and to study church music more in hopes that I might survive. that would be something that would be more steady. That obviously as a lute player, your financial options are not huge unless you find a situation, some sort of teaching situation, but not a lot of that was.
But even then, I imagine those people are quite busy recruiting students, just trying to keep a program going.
Exactly. And there weren't, at that time, this was, this is 25 years ago, because it was more than that. I'd say 28 years ago. And you know, how many early music programs were there in the country? There was Case Western,
Mm-hmm.
there was, I think, Berkeley, you know.
Indiana.
Yeah, and maybe a handful of others.
Yeah, just
That was it. So those were the only job. And I mean, as far as some, you know, full-time position in that, those were the only places that were viable. So anyway, and I always had a love of sacred music. You know, I'm Catholic, and I'm of the faith, and you know, I love Palestrina, Victoria, Gregorian chant, all that. So I thought, well, this is a natural fit. And as I began to delve into that, now see, the organ, I'd always loved the organ, but I thought it was just impossible. Too many keyboards, too many buttons, too many controls, your feet are doing. But when I got back from England, I started taking tuition lessons from a fairly good organist. Now, we grew up in Livonia, which was just 20 minutes from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. So, you know, the School of Music is quite renowned in Ann Arbor. So I began to take lessons with a student of Dr. Marilyn Mason, who is one of the great organists of the 20th century. And so this went on for a few years. Now, Dr. Mason, she had been teaching at the university. Well, when she finally retired, she had been teaching there for 56 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, she was an institution, an American institution. She just passed away 2 years ago, and she had a very large obituary in the New York Times. But Dr. Mason, or Madame Mason as we called her, she was a very down-to-earth person. She knew all the great composers. Copland, Stravinsky, Schoenberg, they'd all written music for her, you know. But once a year at her church in downtown Ann Arbor, she would have this community master class where anybody could come and play. It could be Aunt Matilda, you know, who plays the 5 o'clock service or whatever, or some of her talented students, whoever wanted to bring something. So I signed up to play, not expecting anything. So I played a Bach Prelude and Fugue, or at least got through most of it. And then after I played, and she had made some, you know, very worthy comments, she said, why don't you stick around a little bit after, I'd like to talk to you. So I thought, oh, you know, she probably wants me to paint her house or something, you know. So after the class was over, she comes up to me, she grabs me and says, Gregory, you must come and be my student at the university.
Wow.
And I was like, my mouth hung up. I'm telling you, I did not expect anything like that.
What do you think about your performance created that encounter?
Well, she must have seen something, you know. I mean, obviously she saw something that she thought she could work with, I guess, or must have been some kind of talent there. I remember I played the little G minor Prelude and Fugue. But so that was, you know, and lo and behold, thankfully it all happened.
Yeah.
And I owe her everything. She just rolled out the carpet. She made it work. She made the path for me.
Okay.
She was a mentor. And that's why I say to people who who enter university, you have to have a mentor. Find somebody who is going to smooth your path for you. It's very, very key. So anyway, I ended up with my doctorate there. I also got a master's in musicology. that was an interest. And since then, I've been bouncing around and working in various sacred music situations.
Okay.
And have continued my early music playing along with that.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I know you're a composer also.
Right.
How did this become part of this very complex equation?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about being the jack of all trades. I think with me, I just never decided what I wanted to do when I grew up.
Okay.
So I just pursued everything, and it was not the smartest thing.
I still think that's something to envy.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. But, also I think, and I tell students this, you really have to have, if you want to make a living at this profession, have wide skills. Have a wide variety of skills. You do one thing. If you are a specialist in the sham, you're going to get a few jobs teaching sham, but develop your skills. And one thing is absolutely, you've got to, have good keyboard skills. It's whatever you do, that is going to be, know how to read a score, have knowledge of harmony and music history and all that, just the more skills you can acquire, the more employable you'll be.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that was kind of a lot of my reasoning with that. But the composing thing, and it's funny how people grow, because with me, the composing thing didn't develop for me until I was after 40. I had always been, kind of orientated that way, but I was the slowest. I would take hours to write one measure, and I realized that's not going to work. I knew I had some talent as a composer, but at that rate, I'd never write anything. But somehow something happened when I hit 40, and it all just. And now I just, since then, I've written hundreds of pieces. I don't know, I can't claim to know what happened, but it was just reaching a certain point, I guess, in creative development where it just kind of.
So your composition do you feel like that's very strongly related to your ability to improvise?
Oh, sure, okay. Yes. No, and I think what happened was all these things sort of came together. I mean, as you know, with early music, there's a certain amount of improvisation in that built in. But as an organist, and especially working in the Catholic Church, you have to have an ability to create music. And I studied that fairly seriously. And I would say it's a strong interest.
Did you find that was a natural area for you to study?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Some people are more natural at it than others. I think it's not as mysterious as people think. They think that that's just a rare, only certain people have that ability. No, it can be taught like any, there are methods of teaching it. But I think that, that was one of the things that came into the composing, that, a lot of my music is very sort of improvisatory, or can be played in that fashion. I think also, well, I love early music, but I also love contemporary music, and I have very wide tastes. So I think, getting into the organ helped me open up, kind of post-1750 musical thinking and repertoire. So that went into the composing as well. And, my music, some of it is kind of Baroque, or could be, could reflect Baroque aesthetics, but a lot of it is very far from that. So I don't know what to make of that.
Well, I see you've written for flute and organ and
Yes.
harp. How many pieces have you written for recorder?
I don't. You completely. I was gobsmacked when you said that because I thought, I can't believe it. Now I'll have to write you something.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
And I would take you up on the offer in a heartbeat.
I will do that.
I love playing you pieces.
I will do that. I will make sure. Yes.
So tell us about the concert series that goes on at your church.
Well, some of it has been going on a long time. Nelda did a tremendous amount. We have several things going on. On the third Thursday of every month, we have an organ concert at 12 o'clock. And that's been going for 18 years.
Okay, wow.
So just about everybody in Georgia has played on that. Is when,
well attended on a Thursday?
Yeah. People come from work. It's only a half an hour.
Okay.
So it's from 12 to 12:30. So we just had the first two concerts this season were organ students from Mercer, of students of Jack Michener, who is professor there and also plays at St. Philip's, where we're having the ABO concerts this week. So there's that. There's also, I have a series of harpsichord concerts. There's 2 or 3 of those a year. And we'll put in a plug. That's coming up March 25th at 7:30 at St. Joseph's, 830 Poplar Street. That's it. And that is going to be mainly French harpsichord repertoire. The Couperin, the 3 of the Couperin family, Louis, Francois Legrand, and Armand Louis, who was one of the uncles, one of the later, I think he was an uncle. Anyway, so I thought that's an interesting thing. And there's Purcell and some Froberger, and there's a wonderful cantor and singer at our parish, Christa Thurieu, who is going to be singing a few selections from that repertoire. So I know once they hear her sing, they won't want to hear any more harpsichord playing.
Okay.
So
Is she a native French speaker?
No.
Okay.
I don't know, but I think she's going to do some English or maybe Latin. We're working that out. But she sings like an angel, so that's going to be marvelous.
Okay.
I'm putting her here. I think I'm going to put her at the end of both halves of the concert because, as I say, no more harpsichord after that.
not going to let someone outshine you.
Yeah. So I hope the acoustics are so great there, and for those of you who are into this sort of thing, the harpsichord is a really fine instrument built by Lynn Krajewski of Houston. It's a Flemish double, and built in historical fashion of the 17th century.
Okay.
After models, around 1680 or so.
Well, just curious, did you know George Leuchtenberg before he passed?
I didn't
large
know
keyboard
him.
Collection.
Yes, I've heard of him, but I never met him.
Okay.
Did you know him?
I did know him.
Okay.
But, he had a wonderful keyboard collection.
Do you know what happened to it all, or?
I don't know, but I'm sure plenty of the people watching this interview probably know more about it.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
He was at now he was at Clayton State, right?
Well, I know he was at Reinhardt University, which is northwest of Atlanta. I don't know for sure if he was at Clayton State.
I think maybe he just performed there.
He may probably just perform there
Yes.
because during that time, a lot of the time, Daniel Pyle would have been the harpsichord teacher at Clayton State.
I do know Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know where Daniel is now.
He's in Maine.
Oh. People, yes.
Yeah, I'd say he got a great job in Maine.
Oh, that's good.
So
that's good. Yes.
Well, so what about early music opportunities you're having in Georgia? The opportunities that you haven't created. What have you found so far to do here?
Well, I was quite pleased to get this interest from the Atlanta Baroque Orchestra. These are, Julie Andruski and Evan Few. They're very fine directors, and this is a very top-notch group. So it's really great to play with people of that caliber. I need the challenge, I know that I have not really explored what's going on at Mercer University, but I know there's a lot of things happening there that I'm hoping to get more involved in.
Okay. Do you find you have an opportunity to bring people who perform into early music,
Yes.
modern instrumentalists or singers?
Yes, I'm hoping to do that, and that's exposing people to early instruments, early sounds, early music, and that's part of why I started this harpsichord series. There's something about what we do that is just so needed in this. Society just is getting more noisy and crazy and hectic, and everything is 4-second sound bites. And I think, this music of earlier periods helps us slow down and calms the blood pressure and puts us into a receptive state. I don't know. I'm sure you would agree.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
we need much more of that.
Yes. So I'm hoping that, and with my choir, we do a lot of early music as well, early things.
Do they enjoy the early music?
Oh yeah, and they sing Latin quite well. No complaints.
Okay.
So that's part of the whole thing, and. I'm going to, my lute and theorbo, I haven't done much of that at my church, but I have plans. Matter of fact, maybe that's something we could chat about, because I would like to do something next year.
Okay.
And
I think once folks around here find out there's a good lute player, theorbo player around, I bet people will find you some opportunities to play.
I think so. Yeah, we're not that common.
Not very common at all. And so what are your plans coming up? What are you hoping happens for you in the next few years?
Well, I hope to. I would like to see this music program grow. And the part of that, the concerts. I would like to have. I like that to be a something that is kind of taken on by other people in our parish as well, creating interest in that, and I think there is. And maybe we can be a nonprofit entity, and sort of go in that direction. Myself, I'd like to see more composing opportunities, and plug, I'm always interested in commissions. I just got an interesting commission. I have to tell you about this because it was quite odd, but on my YouTube channel, I did an improvisation for harpsichord and toy piano. I collect toy pianos.
Oh, wow.
This is strange, I know. Don't ask me. I've got a whole bunch of it in my house. So one day, I think it was Lent, and I put the toy piano on top of my harpsichord, and I recorded this improvisation of, what's the German? Oh, Sacred Head Now Wounded, but I can't remember the German name of the tune. And I put that up, and And this friend of mine said, "Oh, that's incredible! And he commissioned me to write it down for him, so he could play it in his. He had an upcoming concert. I did it, but I couldn't. Improvisations are very hard to write down.
Oh, I bet.
And this was just all crazy. So I finished it, and he graciously paid for it, but I'm not sure if he liked how it came out, because it was, you can hear an improvisation, but when you write it down on paper, it can sometimes be very difficult to play.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah.
But that's...
It'll grow on him.
Yeah, I hope so.
It'll grow on him.
I hope so, yeah. But anyway, that was kind of a funny thing. I'd like to do some bigger commissions. I read a lot of chamber music.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to get orchestral music played. Just aren't the opportunities. But other than, I'm happy to keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
Very
good.
And I like being in Macon. I like this community. It's really a lot of wonderful people, and grow where you're planted.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
So do you have any other good advice for someone who's young, or maybe not quite so young, but still interested in plowing their own path in early music?
Yes. Learn as much as you can. Absorb everything. Read treatises. Look at editions from the early period. Explore the instruments. Listen to recordings. Meet people. Ask questions. Just open yourself up to learn as much as you can, and find your own way.
Well, it sounds like most of what you're saying is, once you don't have to be isolated, don't be isolated.
Exactly.
Get out, meet people.
Yes, yes. And you have to find your own way of doing things. What your passion is. Maybe it's playing shawm. I don't know.
Maybe it's playing shawm. You never know. There may be a shawm professorship for someone someday soon.
I remember being in a group where we had that. I thought it was the loudest, rudest instrument that I'd ever heard of. Have you played one?
I own a set.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay, maybe they wasn't played well.
Oh, I'm not saying I play them well, but I own a set.
Yes. The other one was the racket or the ranket, or
usually called the racket, but you see it both ways.
Perfectly named.
Yeah.
Perfect name.
Have you go to YouTube and check out I think it's Unholy Racket or Holy Racket. Unholy Racket.
I'll check that out.
It's a great little racket consort.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you'd be entertained.
Now this is I'm opening myself up and I'm learning here.
Yeah. Maybe after this interview they'll get a few hits on their YouTube channel.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, Gregory, it was very good having this chat with you and getting to know you a little better. And I think probably in coming months, many of the Atlanta Early Music Alliance members will get to hear you in performance. We are recording this interview now, and probably this won't be released until after your March concert.
Okay.
But I do encourage everybody to go to Gregory's website, which is
GregoryHamilton.org.
Okay, and I can tell you from experience, a Google search will turn up a lot. So so if you can't remember that, just type in his name and you'll find Gregory Hamilton, and lots of list of his, or a list of a lot of his compositions. You can find some YouTube videos and learn a lot more about him. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing much more of you.
Thanks. It's great to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.